guess what? We're going to talk about witchcraft.
Welcome to the Who Witch Where podcast. I'm Kim from Clever Kim's Curios. Join me as I talk to witches about witch life, witch stories, and sometimes a little witchcraft. In this episode, I talked to Charlye of the Witch Bitch Amateur Hour. As with Macy, Charlye's interview ran so long that I had to split it into 2 episodes. Charlye and I discuss labels, the effects social media has on us, and how we affect others using it, and share our experiences with obsessive-compulsive disorder in our practice. Now let's hear some stories. Well, welcome to the show, Charlye.
Hi. We haven't been here already chatting for 30 minutes.
Of course not. Has it really been?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Surely not.
I don't have
20,
any concept
sure.
of time.
Who cares? What is
Okay,
time?
good.
Who cares? I mean, the sun's up. That's all I know.
Fake. It's fake.
Who invented it? You know?
Oh.
Stop it. I'm so glad to be here, by the way. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on the show. Please tell me, who are you? Who? I really want to know.
Well, listen to me. My name is Charlye Michelle. Except in this chat, I have named myself a loaf of bread, and it's important for everyone to know that. Charlye Michelle, I am one half of the Witch Bitch Amateur Hour podcast, the other half being my cousin Macy, who already had her episode come out. At least part 1, for sure, right?
Yeah.
At this point. I'm just kind of not really anybody who started a podcast about witchcraft, and that's my life now. What a change. What a change it has been.
Why did you go for a podcast instead of like YouTube or a blog?
Because between Maisie and I think how do I say this? We can be a little impulsive. And I think the word podcast was the first thing that came up in conversation. So we just sort of latched onto that and we're like, yes, podcast, let's do it. Because we had been sort of new to the world of podcasts in general and listening to our own personal favorites. And we had a big conversation at her place once, just about everything, anything and everything. And it was like kind of edging onto like witchy stuff, but not really, because we weren't super comfortable with each other. Like we didn't know. I hadn't like looked at her and been like, are you into that kind of shit? You know, and she hadn't said the same to me. And but we did have this really long conversation, and she Marco'd me after it and said, I was thinking about that super long conversation that we had where we just giggled and talked about crap. She's like, I think we could do that like as a job.
We can monetize that.
I think we could make You know what's funny is it never started to be like, she never said, I think we could do this as a job. She was just like, what if we just did this for fun, just to see if anyone gave a shit about us, you know what I mean? or like would listen to it at all, just to see what would happen. It was more of a experiment than anything, and just this fun thing we could do together. And it turned into what it is. So it's amazing. But you said, why podcast? Sorry, I'll try to stay on topic here. Good luck. Why a podcast? I don't know, and since we've started the podcast, we have talked about all the other avenues to go down. Like, I'm really interested in starting like a YouTube channel.
Yes, I'm interested in you starting a YouTube channel.
I would love it. I have to get the kick in the butt to do it, and
I have feet, I have shoes, I have boots.
if you could keep me on it, I will do it, man. The thing is I think also podcasting was I don't want to say easiest, because I don't want to belittle it, because it is a lot of work, but I think it was the lesser amount, because on YouTube you'd also have the video element, and neither of us, when we started, we're not kidding about the amateur thing. Like, we didn't know how to do any kind of editing at all whatsoever. Audio, visual, nothing, none of it. So it was sort of the like quickest thing that we could learn, and not have to like worry about making a set or like getting an expensive camera or anything like that.
I was on YouTube in like 2006 making videos regularly. So I was used to editing and I used Audacity back then, so I was
Yes.
familiar with those things. So that's
Yes.
why I felt okay starting this.
And I think it's so cool. I think it's so you've got so many irons and so many fires, and I respect it so hard because I've got one iron and one fire, and I'm exhausted all the time. But yeah, I remember we when we first started, we used Audacity to edit, and we would call each other to have 2-hour rant sessions about how much we hated Audacity. I mean, things we've never never spoke about in the past, like would just the weirdest shit. We'd call each other and just be like, "I hate leveling" or whatever, you know. So it kind of it changed the way we speak to each other about stuff.
Let's get started on the witch stuff.
Okay, yes. Ooh, I love the witch stuff.
Do you feel like you've chosen a label for yourself yet? Because I know in the past you've said that you didn't really have one yet. That was a long time ago, though, relatively speaking.
Yeah, relatively speaking, it's crazy because it's really just been about 3 years, but it feels like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to say, first of all, I just want to put this out there. I'm a huge fan of labels. I know a lot of people don't, and I'm not saying everyone needs one. I'm not saying it's important to have one. I just love the fact that you can like find your group. You know what I mean? You could be
Mm-hmm.
like, are you this? Are you that? You know? So I love it. However, for myself, I don't know if I've fully adopted any kind of label. I think eclectic would be as boring as it is. I think it would be probably the most accurate for myself because if I sat here and I went down the list of every like label that I wanted, you know, like a little kitchen witch and a little bit of hedge witch and a little bit of this and that, and it would be every label, you know. So I don't think that I've officially come around to anything. I like to say I like to say above everything else, I'm like divination witch. Um,
That's so cool to me because, okay, have this, I feel this kinship with you and Macy for different ways.
mm-hmm. I remember you wrote us an email way back when.
That was my first email.
Was it really? Yes, I still think about that. And you were like, I feel connected with Macy because of this, and I feel connected with you because of this. And anyway, I'm sorry, go on.
But in this, we are so different because I can't do
Really?
divination. I don't do divination. I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Hmm.
It just doesn't seem to work for me. I do other things. So that's
Yeah.
interesting that I feel this connection with you with healing and probably snacks.
Yeah. First, hey, look.
These stuff we'll go into later.
Oh man.
That stuff I really connect with the way our brains work,
Okay.
but
Yeah, for
not
sure.
divination.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's cool about it to me, you know, is in the beginning of all of this, I struggled with it a little bit because I wanted to be good at everything, you know, or I sat there and I thought, am I good at anything? You know, what's gonna pop forward? And I kind of burnt myself out in trying so many different things. Like one thing I am not good at is I'm not good with like how do I put it? Earth kind of stuff. And in the way that you are, in the way that Macy is. You know, I'm not good with like finding an herb, like working with herbs and stuff. I love to do it, but I don't think I have a natural hand in it. You know, and I'm not like Macy. I can't go out and just be like, "Hey, this tree wants to talk to me." You know what I mean? I can't do that. And I wanted to so much and it's a struggle to like find what you're good at and it's even further a struggle to like accept that, I think. So I think I'm in a good place where I'm like, you know what, hey, it's cool, some people are good at this and good at that, and I'm never gonna be I'm never gonna be like god, I don't know, like a
Greenwich.
yeah, thank you, I was looking for the word. I don't think I'm ever gonna be like a natural to my core green witch, you know, somebody who can just have just have plants and not kill them. That's not me.
It's taken me until now to figure out how to keep them alive.
How to what?
To keep them alive.
Yeah, yeah. I know, and I feel so bad. I feel so bad about it because when I do have a plant that flourishes, I feel like I love it as much as I love my pets. And I don't
Yeah.
know if that's, but like to watch it then, and especially when this freeze came through Texas a
Mm,
couple months ago, and it was dropping well below freezing inside the home, like there was nothing we could do.
that's
Cuz
batshit.
dude, we brought plants into the house because that normally saves them, and I almost lost my favorite plant, but
Not
he's
today, bitch.
recouping. I know. I feel like I put it like right by the fire. I put an actual blanket over it to like keep the it was stupid. I took so much care of this fucking plant.
That's not stupid. That's how you do it.
But see, I
That's being
it's
a
one of
caring lady.
hey, is that what that feels like to care for something? Oh God. But like Macy, she just like to watch her just like dance in between her plants that she has is it's amazing, because she'll just like walk by and spritz it, and she'll kind of touch it and have a whole. I can tell she's having a whole conversation, in her head, like, what do you need right now? What can I do for you? And I'm looking at her just. It's like watching two people speak in a language that you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what are you saying? What I don't understand.
What's
But
happening?
it's a cool thing to watch though.
Do you still consider yourself to be an amateur?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And I would never not want to, I think. While there are things I think that I'm skilled in, I'm never gonna, nobody's ever gonna know everything about everything. In the podcast, we talk about what if we run out of topics? We're like, what do we do the day that we've talked about everything? And you realize the more and more you get into it, and the more people reach out to you and they say, "Hey, I don't think you have this in, where you live, but over here in my country we have this particular herb, and can you talk about this?" And the more you just find out how big it is, you're never going to run out of we're never going to run out of topics, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
in the same way, there's things that I'm naturally good at. I'm kind of good at I'm finding that I'm just kind of skilled at, again, the divination stuff. However, I don't know how to read cards. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I feel like they're you know how that feels? um like I think they work, like I always, when I look them up, I take the meaning from them, and I still do it. But right now I'm chomping on that. I'm learning that. And then after I feel skilled in that, it'll be another thing to move on to. And you're always going to be, or I am anyway, I don't want to put words in everybody's mouths, but I'm always going to be an amateur at something, you know. And you know what? In a lot of ways, we're still amateur podcasters. I mean, we still leave complete accidents in the episodes. We still completely screw up all the time. And we've talked about it before that when we make these little screw ups, we're going to address them, but we'll leave them there because we want other people to be like, oh, hey, they fucked this up pretty bad. But then they came and then they learned, and now they're like telling everybody else about it. So, and that was always the point, is to like, let us be the ones that get yelled at, about making mistakes. And then you can just kind of listen and be like, oh, okay, now I know not to do that. So, yes, amateur.
Like gentleman's butthole.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Which is weird because things like that happen pretty frequently. Like you'll do all of your notes and you'll say, this is also known as, again, like gentleman's butthole. But then 2 years later, you'll come along, you'll be like, wait, no, this plant is the real gentleman's butthole. And it's like no one ever had their shit together back then. It's like they were playing around with these names as much as we were, or as much as we
Yeah.
are now. So
That's why nerds like me use scientific names,
I'm a big fan.
especially in the tarantula community.
Oh my God. I think that's something I block out of my mind because every time you mention that, I'm like, oh my God, right. She's like Tarantula Lady.
How do you feel like witchcraft has changed your life?
I think I'm a lot more open to things that I wasn't necessarily. I would fight myself about. I fought myself about like the spirit thing for the longest time. There was actually a point in my life I was quite worried. Um, I was like, do I need to see like a mental health professional? I mean, yes, the answer there was yes, but for other reasons. Like, but for the spirit thing, because I would just see things, or I would hear things, or I don't know, just things would happen, and I would fight it so hard. Um, and now I think it's I'm more open to thinking, and this is also a little bit of a negative because I'm at the point where I'll just believe anything. Honestly, I'll believe anything, and I think
Yeah,
it's made me.
I thought about that when you said it in one of the recent ones that you put out.
Yeah, that
I'm way more
bef-
gullible. Me too.
exactly. I was trying to think of a nice way to say that, but I think I'm definitely more gullible. And I have always been I don't like to say gullible, but I'm a naive person, I think. Because I will just easily think. Like when I found out that like a lot of pop songs are not written by the person who sings them. Like there's people whose whole job it is to write the songs. That like blew my mind. I was like a 30-year-old woman when I learned that. So like in that way, I think I have become a little bit more accepting, I guess. I think it's really made me think that like when you hear story, when people tell you things of like, I can do this, 4 or 5 years ago, I might have kinda rolled my eyes and had, like, a little bit of a dickish reaction, you know what I mean? Like, just like, "Oh, this person thinks they can talk to ghosts," you know? So, I think overall, it's made me more accepting and more, like, just open to things and not so, pessimistic, really. I think it's really changed my overall temperature towards life. And that's cool because I'm famously I am pessimistic. So it's nice to have something to believe in, I guess.
That makes sense.
Also, it's cool to in a way that it's changed my life. It's cool to this like self-reliance, I guess, or being confident. It's really helped with confidence to do something and then to see it work. And knowing like, oh, I did it. And of course, I do believe that there are outside factors, like there's spirit that helps, and there's this, that, and the other. That, and of course, the herbs you use can influence what you're doing. Blah blah blah. But like, really, truly, to do something and then see the effect of it and be like, I did that. It's nice to feel in control of your life, you know?
Especially when you're a control freak like me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel that, especially when on top of that, there's how do I say it? I don't know if we're getting into any of this yet, but with the OCD on top of that, and feeling very out of control in a lot of ways, or feeling like you need to have control to be safe, or
Yep.
however you want to explain it. It's nice to have something that you're in control of outside of that realm, and it's an escape for me a lot of the times.
How has the podcast changed your life?
Oh my gosh, so much. So much more than I thought it was gonna. Um, it's so strange. I would say like community probably is the biggest thing. Meeting people, meeting you, and meeting like the other day we had lunch with I don't know if they want me to say, but somebody who
You can
listens.
say
Oh, he's cool
he's
with it.
going to be on.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we had lunch with Corey the other day, who famous tweeter, famous Waba tweeter person, Corey. um,
I'm going
and
to
just
introduce him as that now.
yeah,
Famous
famous
tweeter.
official tweeter, Corey B. Um, that has definitely changed things for me. And when people write in, it's we talk about this a lot on the podcast, so I won't get all misty eyed here today. But when people write in and they say things like that, um, I've been listening to you, and you guys have helped me find like on one level it makes me go, oh God, we're not worthy, But on the other hand, it's like, how cool. how cool to like have this, and I think it's really made me realize the power that like, not power you have, but like the power within responsibility, and not to be like all Superman-y or what is it, Spider-Man-y, I don't know, I don't know comics about it, but like there is a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And I think just it's made me be more serious about things in my day-to-day life, because even things like sourcing your gems and stuff responsibly, or you making sure that you're using herbs that aren't like about to be wiped out off of the face of the planet. It's made me think about that kind of stuff and made me be responsible in that way, because there are people listening who don't know, and of course that's part of being an amateur is learning about it. But if we can learn something and then pass it on, use a platform to pass it on to other people, maybe we can help in some way, question mark. But even in ways outside of that, it's made me be more responsible, thinking about, I don't know, just like your beauty products. You know what I mean? Like makeup coming from brands that aren't, crushing up bugs to give you color, on your eyes, which is a thing, by the way.
Yeah, Carmine.
Or yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm like,
We
I
have it
said it, I was
here,
like, she already
actually.
knows that. The places, I don't know. Sometimes I'm talking and the words are coming out of my mouth, but in the back of my head, I'm going, "What am I talking about? Where am I? Am I still on topic?"
I know that life.
Yeah. When somebody, like something in the back of your brain is going, "Stop talking, stop," and you just won't listen. Yeah. Uh.
Do you feel like you owe listeners anything?
For sure. For sure. I do. Um, I think that we owe it to them to be authentic. I think we owe it to them to be real, and to fuck up and say, "Hey, I screwed up," and I know we've talked about, I feel like I've said this like 100 times in this episode already, but it's important, to say, "Hey, that thing we said back then, that's not a real thing," or I remember in one episode, I think it was Palo Santo. We were talking about Palo Santo, and we said something like, "Yeah, it's just endless resources. Use it."
No.
Like, I know, and then you have to make those mistakes to be like, "Oh, I need to do better research because people are listening to this." So when somebody is like, "Oh, Palo Santo's good. I'm going to buy all of it I can," and I think it would be smart to maybe figure out a way to go back and like put a foreword on it and be like, "Hey,
Like a disclaimer.
yeah, there's some information in this that we have since learned," and I think that would be a good idea. We just have to figure out how to do it. But yeah, I think we owe people a lot, and that's also kind of scary because we're literally two hillbillies who got access to the internet, and it to suddenly be thrust into this position is a little scary sometimes, um because we screw up like everybody else. and, and some people have gotten really really mad at us, and they're not wrong. So I think we owe them the dedication to being as authentic as we can. Does that sound dumb? I hate when people say shit like that.
No. How do you feel social media affects your practice?
I have to be honest with this one. I think it's super negatively. Um, I wish I could be like, "Oh, it's so great," and there are great parts to it, because I have been so inspired just scrolling through, I don't know, Instagram, and you see somebody like somebody doing these great, I don't know, anything. It could just be a photo, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're like, "Oh man, I'm so jacked up, I'm inspired." And of course, through social media, you find not only like friends and you keep up with their lives, but you can find new things to like explore and new things to do and all that. However, there is a massive dose of like imposter syndrome, I think, that comes through specifically social media, and I know that we have definitely contributed to it, and that's part of the reason our Instagram's been basically dead for a little while. We need to get back on that, but from a business standpoint. But I know that like we've had a couple of posts that like I've looked at before and I've been like, I know on this day I was having the worst day I've had in a long time. I didn't do anything witchy, but I had to get a photo up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know that that's the same for other people in some capacity. So to like scroll through and just be like, oh man, everyone is doing so much better than I am, whether it be with witchcraft or just in general. Just like, wow, this person is so happy in their life and they're doing so perfectly. It can kind of really drain you. So I think detoxes are important. And I think, again, being authentic and it can be kind of annoying, I guess. Or I've heard people, it doesn't annoy me, but I've heard people say that it can be kind of annoying when you come on and say, like, I'm having a really bad mental health day, but I think it's very important. Um,
I like when people say that
See, I
because
do
that's
too.
real. That's
Yeah,
human.
exactly.
We're humans.
And the thing is I understand I would understand where somebody wants social media to be their escape. All they want to do is scroll through and like see happy parts and pretty parts, and it's like there's so much like not happy and pretty out there that like that is their time to get away. And I get that, man. I get that. But when you have like, and I feel like an asshole saying this, but like when you have a platform of people who are like looking at what you post, it's really important. I was listening to a podcast called Sweet Boys with Garrett Watts and Andrew Savecki. And Andrew, in the first episode, talked about having OCD. And I remember that's when it kind of clicked with me. Is because I think like some people might watch that and be like, oh, everyone has something these days or whatever, the attitude there is. But I remember it clicked with me and I go, oh, it's important to talk about this kind of stuff
Yeah.
because somebody there like me watching it felt that and just felt I don't know how to say but validated. You know what I mean? And not like, oh well, if he can do it I can do it, not that kind of thing, but just like, oh, this is a real thing that people go through and people have their own lives and struggles and stuff like that. So on that hand it is a good thing. So I don't know, that's a tricky question. It's good and bad, but it is what you make it, and it's important to go, hey, I cannot get on Instagram today. I can't do it, or I can't look and see who's tweeted at us today because I can't handle it. And that's fine. You just got
Yeah.
to pick your level of saturation of when you got to step away and be like, I'm done for a bit.
If you don't, you'll end up like Jenna
Oh,
Marbles,
yeah, exactly.
who
And I think that's
I
the
love and
perfect.
I miss.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she was able to make this step for herself, and I wish people would
Yeah.
respect it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And
Jenna, we love you.
yeah, yeah. On that note, Jenna, please come back. No, no, and I think that's just straight up burnout because I know that she. Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot more than that, but I think that she had herself made a lot of videos in the past before talking about like I'm not doing okay right now, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but the thing is, when this is your job, and obviously she's like way more. She's in a whole different league, right? But like when social
Yeah.
media is your job, yeah, I'd be like, oh, we're on the same level as Rhett and Link. Yeah, sure. No. But when it's your job, it's hard to make that call and say I'm going to step away because you can't. Like this is what you do. So
How do you feel you use social media to affect others?
hmm, wow. I knew this question was coming. I don't mean like wow, like I didn't know. I had no idea you were going to ask that. But I
You want to control the world.
yes.
Me too.
But also but see but really like I want to it's weird to talk about because I know that our business social media has it we don't put a huge focus on it. And the thing is, from a businessy standpoint, you should. I get or I don't want to say should, but it's a
You need
good
to.
thing to do.
I mean,
You need
I'll
you
say
have
it.
to do
You
that.
need
Yeah.
to.
And I know that for the past year, Macy and I neither were in a place to do it. Because when it comes to like because it's not hard. It's not a hard thing to do to snap a picture, write something about it, and throw it online. It's not a hard thing to do. Come up with some hashtags, you know what I mean? And it keeps things afloat, keeps things growing.
Yes,
But
it is.
like
Don't
I was gonna
discount
say,
it because it
no,
is
no, no, no,
hard.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
I was gonna say it's physically not a hard thing. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
take.
it's not physical labor.
It's not physical labor, but it can be one of the hardest things to do, and I don't know how to explain that. But I'm glad that you said that because I'm glad that you get where I'm coming from with that. Um, it can be just so emotionally and mentally taxing. And in 20 and I hate to just put everything like on 2020, but in
Fuck
2020,
2020. Put everything
I
on it.
know. Yeah. We both just hit the point where we were like, you know what? I'm totally fine if we don't do any of this this year. We're gonna stop because all we can do is focus on keeping the podcast afloat. That's all we're doing. So like but that being said, in the past and hopefully in the future, when we use social media, I hope it's for the better. I hope that we can be upfront with, hey, look at this cool witchy thing we're doing. We don't do this every day, and the picture makes it look a lot cooler than it is. And, yeah, we threw a filter on it. You know what I mean? Like, I hope we can be very open with like, it can be easy to like fall into this, like, oh God, they must live in this super witchy world all the time. And it's like, no, dude, like I'm not wearing pants right now in this interview, it's like we're people, and like you can cut that out if you want. But it's like
I knew you were a no pants person.
I like when you said that there was not gonna be video, you're like, there's not gonna be video, so you don't have to do anything. I was like, oh fuck yeah. But like I hope that we use social media for the better, and that's going to be my goal moving forward, is to just be kind of more open about things. And it can be scary to be open about things,
Hmm.
but seeing how it affected me to hear other people's stories when they're very like open and raw and honest, that made me be like, you know what, if I can do that for even one other person, that's a win. So hopefully it'll be for the good, question mark.
Written links deconstruction stories.
Yeah, that
Did you cry? I
specifically.
bawled.
You know what? I bawled more when with Link's story. I feel like
Really?
I really resonated with him, and I know that I think Rhett has the more how do I say it? Maybe like his was more logic focused as far as what he believed and what was logic to him, and it was very putting things together and like sourcing out what he believed. But I think Link's was just very emotion driven, and I found a lot of parallels with Link's story and myself kind of growing up in the South and having religion be like this ever present thing that you never really felt comfortable with, as he put it. Rhett was more like down. He said he was the person who would like be evangelical to people. He would be. He said, "Yeah, I would talk to people who didn't believe, and they would walk away going, oh, maybe,
It's because
but."
he's a one.
Right. Is that how that goes? You know, we
That's
were
what I think. Because they have to be the best.
we were gonna that
He's the
makes
best at
sense.
evangelicizing. Is that how you say that word?
Evelichize. Yeah, you're right. We were gonna take ours this weekend, and we totally, or when we were at the hotel, we were gonna take ours, and we totally forgot. So we're probably gonna do it tomorrow. But
Jeez.
I'm excited to learn what that means. Or what are you?
6.
6. Okay, I don't
With
know what
a
that
wing,
means.
5 wing.
What?
With a 5 wing.
Oh God. Okay, there's so many terms to learn. Um, But no, no, no. I think I just, listening to Rhett and Link's stories, definitely kind of felt more emotional about Link's side. Because a lot of his came from like the treatment of people like LGBT people,
Mm-hmm.
and I really, really felt like that, and like being in that space myself, like seeing someone who kind of confronted that was God, that moved me, and I did bawl. I bawled a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
For me, it was more seeing how upset he was about what he did.
Yeah.
I I don't ever say that I'm an empath or whatever,
Mm,
but I don't know. I get really uncomfortable and emotionally affected when other people have strong emotions around me.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and like Rhett, I'm a huge crier. I'm sure if he ever got wind of that, he'd love it. Not that I think I'm important in any way, but
Oh my god.
but yeah, I just hearing them talk about how their wives were upset and they had to
Mm,
give up this community and doubt having that doubt. I understand that.
yeah,
So it
for sure.
made me sad for them that they
Yeah,
had to go through it. I don't want anybody to go through that.
yeah. And I don't want someone to go through that, but at the same time, I think it might be important. Well, not everyone to go through that. I'm not telling anybody how to live their lives, but I think it's important to always examine what we believe,
Yeah.
and why. And is it just because I was raised this way? Is it just because everyone that surrounds me is this, and to just sort of develop your own, thoughts and feelings on what you believe and why. And that can be a very painful process.
That's what I meant. The pain. I
Yeah.
don't want people to go through pain.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I never. Yeah, that sucks. I never. I wish things like being a human is so complicated. I
Yeah.
wish things would just
I
be
don't like it.
apparent to us, and it'd just be like, oh, I feel this way, and that was an easy conclusion to come to, and it never is.
What brings you the most joy in this whole thing?
The community, seeing people, and I mean, just if it's on Discord or if it's like getting together for pagan pop ups, and just seeing people kind of come together and be in that space that I was once in, of feeling alone and not having anybody, or feeling like you had to do things in a certain way. And then just getting to meet this whole big ass group of people who are just like, no, come here, give me a hug, be one of us, that's that makes me happy. That makes me really, really, really happy. And getting to know everybody's stories and like where they came from, as far as physically, sure, but like also like where their practice came from, and stuff like that. That brings me a lot, a lot, a lot of joy. Also, just on a personal level, I think having the relationship that I have with my, I don't know, spirit team, ancestors, I don't know what you want to say, but having the relationship there and having it grow, and being able to pick certain people out now that I couldn't before, and everyone has like kind of their own vibe, that makes me happy too. In a way that like it also helps me confront this fear of like what happens when we die kind of thing. To just, I don't know, to just believe in something brings me joy. And yeah, sorry if that's cheesy. I love the community. I love you guys.
Have you ever passed out? Like fainted?
No.
This is a
Well,
tangent.
no, yes. Yes, I have. I've passed out because my like one of like my number one fear is heights. I That's my thing. That's like my irrational, I can't do it.
Hmm.
I get sick thinking about it. If I watch a movie and somebody's like on top of a building, I can't look at it. Like it's that's and I went up to the top of a very tall, at Six Flags here. There's this
Oh
very
no.
tall tower, and I just went to it, and it has a floor. You know that kind of mesh flooring.
Oh
It's like
God.
metal covered in rubber.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It
Yes.
has that, and
Nope.
I looked down, and the last thing I remember is looking down and then coming to, like
Oh.
an employee had like put me against the wall, and he was like in my face, and he was like, are you okay, are you okay? It's like,
Oh.
you fell. So I guess technically I have, but that's the only time.
Did you have any memory of while you were unconscious? Or do you have?
No, not at all, not at all. Is that a thing?
Well, I've been thinking about it lately. I don't know why.
Hmm.
because part of my OCD thing is death. I obsess about death
Yeah.
constantly,
Yeah.
which is really not comfortable.
No,
But
no, it's awful.
I I realized that consistent. I pass out a lot
Really?
because I get heat exhaustion
Yeah,
constantly,
yeah.
and if when I get really anxious, I guess like
Your brain is like,
you
nope.
being up there. Yep,
Yep,
we're
yep, yep,
dipping out.
yep.
Bye.
Yeah.
I consistently have. I'm going to call. I don't think they're dreams, but I'm going to call them dreams
Mm,
while I'm under
yeah,
that
really.
I clearly remember coming out of when I wake up from passing out. When I
Whoa.
gained consciousness because I wasn't asleep.
Tell
But
me.
and like during surgery when you come out of that. When I come out
Oh,
of that.
okay. I was gonna say I thought that like those people who stay awake during their surgery and they can
Oh
feel everything.
Jesus. That's a no.
Oh God, I thought you were gonna say that you
That's
had
horrifying.
experienced that,
Oh
and
my
that's awful.
God, no.
Okay.
But I kind of wonder if it might just me trying to comfort myself that death is coming, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's where that is.
Yeah, that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that is something that I share. I think with you is I have a hard time with death as surrounded in it as I like to be because I think I it's weird. I'm not afraid of death because it's a part that happens. It's gonna happen, but I get freaked out about the what happens then, what happens next.
Yeah. Where
It's
does my consciousness go?
right.
I'm
Yeah.
cool. I
Yeah.
have all these memories.
Yeah.
Have you seen Blade Runner?
A very long time ago.
Rutger Hauer's speech about tears and rain. All those memories will be gone like tears and rain. It's
Yeah.
gonna make me cry.
Yeah. See, and that's why I have kind
That
of
is my fear.
is to just disappear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's part of the reason that I don't want to say I have a problem with reincarnation, but it makes me sad to think that if because I think that's kind of what I lean towards is reincarnation and that being a thing. But like if I die and I go on and I'm reborn as somebody else, I'm not going to remember Charlie. You know what I mean? And I know that this life is building towards something that that my soul is building towards, and as is all my other lives and as all my next lives will be. Like I get it. It's a goal. It's a experiencing it, blah 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 blah. But I like Charlie, like I like Charlie's favorite music, and I like Charlie's favorite foods, and and it's like
Yeah.
my next person, whoever I am, then Ralph or whatever, like they're not gonna be Charlie, and that's like so how that's the kind of stuff I'll get in my head about and just think about for hours on end.
Something cool that you witnessed that only you saw
Yeah, it'll be
will be
gone.
gone.
It'll be
I
gone.
hate it.
Like
It's gonna make me cry.
When Macy saw that hummingbird take a shit, you know?
Yeah. Exactly that.
But hopefully not, we don't know. We'll see. I guess. That's the weird beauty in it is that no matter how much anyone believes anything, no matter how certain they are about what's going to happen, like nobody knows. Nobody.
I hate it.
Not even people who have like been technically dead and they are like, "Oh, I saw this and I saw that." It's like, "Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're back now." So you don't really know.
Yep.
It's kind of it's a little cool to me that there's like one last mystery.
Maybe we're all in a video game.
I am so comfortable with that idea. I know that freaks people out, but I am so comfortable with that idea. I would
We're all
prefer.
NPCs. We're not even in the main thing. We're all NPCs.
That's fine with me. That's fine with me. Because you know what? When I play Sims, it's never the NPCs that I'm torturing. It's the main people. So they just get to exist. I'm fine with that.
What's been the most surprising thing that you found in the podcast and in witchcraft?
I think surprising through the podcast is how many people are secret witches. That you when you start out you feel very alone. At least I did, and me and Macy both did. Even having each other, we still felt very alone. But then you find out there's 20 witches on your block. Like they're like you have them around you, and I still think we need some like symbol or something to like let other people, like if like the purple door,
Mm-hmm.
because that's been a very surprising thing for me is how many people are, and I guess in that same vein, how many things people do today, even if they're not witchy or even if they're not in this space, how many things people do come from that, specifically like putting pumpkins by your front door during autumn.
Birthday candles. I love the
Birthday
birthday candle
candles.
one.
Exactly, and especially Southern people. And I know I can only kind of think or talk about like my family lineage because we come from like the Appalachian area, and there's that
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, and then of course that kind of came from like the like Celtic area. So like that kind of system has kind of trickled down to us in little things that we do, like
Salt over the shoulder.
yeah, exactly. I was trying to think of an example, but it's all so ingrained in me that it's like it's normal practice, so I can't even think. But yeah, salt over the shoulder, perfect example. Or if your lower back hurts, you're gonna have a visitor. You know what I mean? Shit like that.
Oh, your palm itches or
Yeah,
your
yeah,
ear
yeah.
itches.
Yeah. Or if the wind is coming in from the east, it tells you like when to seed your plants or not to seed your plants and stuff like that that I would have never been like, oh, that's witchcraft. Like I'm now like kind of giving family members the side eye about. I'm like, do you know where that comes from? You'll and especially here in Texas, I don't know what it is, but you'll go to someone's house and they will have decorated with brooms everywhere. Cinnamon brooms, pretty brooms, like little tiny brooms. And you're looking at them and you're like, if I even said the W word to you, you would freak out. But here you are with 15 goddamn brooms in your house. Like,
Now, are you out to your family?
not fully, actually, weirdly enough. No, I'm not fully and completely out to my family. There is a whole side of my family that knows, but they don't know. I guess we don't really talk about it.
They don't talk about it because they don't want to know, because that'll be have uncomfortable conversation.
It's an uncomfortable conversation. The thing I would like to say though is I am so hashtag blessed that my family is my family because they're so accepting. Even that side of the family that I think wouldn't necessarily be super chill with a lot of it. They like talk about it. They'll be like, "So how's your podcast going?" Or somebody in
Hmm,
particular was like, "I had a friend that was I had a Wiccan friend once, and like, and
I know her.
yeah, wouldn't you know it? But it's it's cool. It's cool. It's not necessarily something that I like bust the door down and I'm like, guess what? We're going to talk about witchcraft. You know what I mean? But they do the same. They don't. That's how I'm going to enter rooms from now on. But they do the same for me. They don't necessarily say, look, I'm going to sit you down and tell you why this is evil and bad. And it's so I would say yeah, a lot of people know, but at the same time I'm not sure they know the extent. I think they know that there is a podcast and that we talk about like kind of like like herby things. But I don't know if I were to walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, guess what? I identify as a witch." I can't believe I think that might be the first time that someone is like truly confronting it in that way. And it's so weird to have a podcast where you talk about shit like this and to know that there are people you're very close with that don't really know what's up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay. You know what I mean? I don't think that it's for me. I'm not talking about everybody. For me, it's not important for me to be out to everybody. You know? I don't need to be. I'm out to the people that I'm probably the most close with, and the people who might be affected when they walk into a room and see me laying on the floor with just cards on my eyes or whatever.
Oh, don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah. The amount of times that like Clark has walked into the room, not said a word, but he just has gone wide-eyed and slowly backed out. Like happens all the time, man. Uh
Now, you and I both have
oh.
diagnoses of
Yeah.
OCD.
Hey, we sure do, don't we?
How do you feel like it affects your craft?
In a strange way. So first of all, and this I'm not going to get on my OCD like soapbox.
Get on it, dude. Jump up there.
I just want to say if you're not
I
familiar,
have one
do
too.
you? I bet they're very similar. Um, I just want to
Yeah.
say that
It has nothing to do with your Sharpies or your frickin'
yeah,
socks.
yeah, yeah. The tiles that face different directions, they don't
Oh
bother
my
us,
god.
it's not.
But they do, but the same way they bother everybody else, and it's not about
Yeah,
OCD.
exactly. That's perfectionism is not OCD, or being irked is not OCD. Is my main point. Is it's portrayed in a way that a lot of people. Have you ever opened up to somebody about OCD and they go like, they're like, oh yeah, me too. Everybody's got a little of that, and you go,
Yep.
no.
Yeah.
um, it's very misunderstood. And I just want to start from a place of that, and I plan on having a whole episode about it one day. Where I can
Good.
just rant about it. However, how it affects my craft is me personally. I have I'm hit pretty hard with the intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts to anybody who, hey, look, if you don't know what it is, you just thank your lucky stars, okay? First of all, but also
Jesus.
it's it's just those, and everyone has had them at some point in their life, just because not only certain people can have intrusive thoughts or whatever, but like when you just think something you wish you didn't. And you didn't really have any control, but then you sit there and you go, is that me? Is that who I am? Did I really just think about doing that, or whatever? So I have a lot of that. So to me, sometimes divination or other things where you need to muster intention to do something, it can affect that very hard, because I'm a big believer that intention is everything. And if I'm sitting here trying to do a thing, trying to push my energy into something, but there's something in the back of my head that's telling me, this spell you're doing, it's going to kill somebody, it's going to kill somebody, it's going to kill somebody, you know what I mean? Like, then I start to think, okay, well, is that the truth now? Like, am I this love spell,
That's your
this,
intent now.
yeah,
You
yeah,
said it, and now
yeah,
it's gonna
exactly,
happen.
this love spell, that I'm trying to just put into my bottle of shampoo, that so I can love myself every time I shampoo my hair. Like, is that gonna like
It's gonna kill
slowly
your
kill me?
husband.
Exactly. Or somebody's gonna smell it, like smell my shampoo, and then they're gonna like go home and like die. Like,
Be obsessed with you,
yeah.
and then somehow
Yeah,
die.
yeah, 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 yeah. Die because they love me so much. No,
Yep.
that is how it affects me. Is it affects my intention a lot of the time, or how I feel about my intention. And I've had to learn that if I'm having a particularly, I don't know how to put it, a
Rough
particularly
day.
bad day with it, I have to, I won't do it. Even if have everything that I need and I made time to do this ritual or this spell, and even if it's like the big days, like if it's a full moon and I have a thing I want to do, but I can't get out of that space, I won't do it. And it sucks, but that's just like a little modification I've had to make in my craft. And it also makes me think sometimes, when I'm divining or when I'm trying to divine, it makes it hard to say what is message from spirit and what is my own ass brain trying to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I one time I
Your own ass
my
brain.
own ass brain. If my brain was anything, it's just a big ass. I have before pulled cards that, or whatever, pulled whatever, thrown, it cast a lot, in some ways,
Mm-hmm.
and it fucking, it be have a million meanings, but the one I focus on is like, this can also indicate health problems, and that's what I latch onto, because I OCD comes in many forms. You can fluctuate through all the forms throughout your lifetime. I currently, my like main stressor is called contamination OCD, and that's exactly what it sounds like. And I think it's what a lot of people think of people with OCD,
Yeah, the
the
hand
hand
washing.
washing and the stuff like that.
As good as it gets. That guy.
I'm trying to
Did you see that?
remember. I'm trying. I know I have, but
No. Oh shit! What's his
I must have
name? Who
blocked it
was the
out.
guy in East Witches of Eastwick? That guy.
Oh, fucking name. Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
Okay.
He was in As Good as It Gets, and he had
Yes.
that little dog,
Mm. Okay.
and he was like us.
Woof. Okay, I'm sweaty after that. But to answer your question, that is how it affects my practice.
Do you think it does anything good? Because mine does.
Yeah.
Because since I have to be in control of everything and double check everything and go back and find every angle that could have fucked
Yeah.
up, it fucks up less.
Yeah, yeah, you're correct. Yeah, I would say that that's probably a plus in the obsessing over a certain aspect of something. You know that it's going to then, if it's okay to me, it's going to be okay to everybody else.
Exactly. And that's why your editing thing versus someone else's editing thing
Yeah, yeah,
is a good
yeah.
thing.
The other way that I think it's good is it just this is a weird thing to say because if I didn't have it, I don't know if I would necessarily be this way, but I very much consider myself a mental health activist. And I think it's important to speak very plainly about mental health and conditions and diagnosis and medical terms and shit like that. I think it's very important, you know. And I would say, I guess if I had not developed this or was born with it, I don't know, question mark. Yeah,
Yeah, who knows?
that I might not be, you know. And I think as many people, you might hear my dog tapping around, sorry. I think as many people as possible, if you have a platform, I think it's important to talk about especially things that you have experience with. You know, this is what I have experience with in my life, and as much as I wish I didn't, and as much as I hate it a lot of the times, if somebody, again, it's that thing, if somebody listens to it and goes, oh, hey, and it makes them feel any kind of way, then I'm like, hey, it's, you know, it's done a good thing. But your OCD is sort of like your what did they say in Dexter? It's like your dark passenger, you know? It's always there, you know,
Yeah.
and you don't have to like it, you don't have to love it, but it's a part of you and it's there, and you do what you can, you know.
Use what you
Use what you
can
can,
if
you
you.
know. I've heard people say before, they say this is why I love my depression. And they've given all these reasons of like it's so easy to fall into this hole of like I hate this. And I do. Like I have whole days where I will just cry and I'll just be like as somebody who doesn't necessarily believe in like let's call it like the Christian God, I will very much just be like, God, why me? Why? You know, why is this the way it
Yeah.
is? And you know, it's like it's so hard, I can't take it. And it's easy to fall into that place of hating it and therefore kind of like hating that part of yourself, and that's a dark hole to fall into, you know. So I kind of think of it, I try to think of it as like the annoying friend, you know. You don't always love the things they do. You don't always love being around them, but they're there and they're a part of your life, so deal with it, you know.
Let's move away from this.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. This is what I wanted. This is what I started this podcast for, dude. To talk about deep
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. And
Speaking of
okay,
which,
let's get deep. Let's do it. What are we doing?
what makes you angry and what do you love about the witch community?
Oh boy.
And that's all we have time for this time. Join us on the full moon on July 23rd to hear about Charlye's loves and dislikes about the witch community, some of the most influential people in her practice, and how she reveals a secret about her past. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Who Witch Where podcast. You can find me all around the internet on Instagram at Who Witch Where Pod, Twitter at WherePod, Facebook at facebook.com/Who Witch Where podcast, and at your favorite podcast service. Want to help the podcast? Speaking of which,
Okay, let's get deep. Let's do it. What are we doing?
what makes you angry and what do you love about the witch community?
Oh boy.
And that's all we have time for this time. Join us on the full moon on July 23rd to hear about Charlye's loves and dislikes about the witch community, some of the most influential people in her practice, and how she reveals a secret about her past. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Who Witch Where podcast. You can find me all around the internet on Instagram at Who Witch Where Pod, Twitter at WherePod, Facebook at facebook.com/Who Witch Where podcast,
and at your favorite podcast service. Want to help the podcast grow? Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You just might hear your review read at the end of the next episode. If you'd like to recommend someone for the podcast, like to be on it yourself, or if you'd like to advertise on the podcast, send an email to whowhitchwherepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the moon changes.